What I like to do is try to put some of the challenges that I faced into some categories that can kind of give some shape to what I'd like to share. So some of those challenges fell into the category of having the right info at the right time, fear of the unknown, um, doctors. Yeah, that's a long story. We can talk about challenges with doctors for so long. Um, and some of the other challenges that I had related to listening to your body. That was a new concept for me. When people said that to me, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't really know what listening to my body means. Is it talking Morse code? All I know is hunger, not hungry, aching, things of that nature. But there actually is a new level. There's a new tuning that happens through the process of fasting, and you really will become more in alignment with your body and able to tell, okay, what's happening. But don't expect that to happen overnight. But there is a point where you kind of know what the signals are. Another challenge area that I had was timing, knowing when to eat and when not to eat. Because with coming to listening to your body, you will be able to know when your body's telling you, okay, I'm ready to break my fast. Or if you're in a period of eating, you'll be able to tell when your body's saying, okay, you know what, I'm kind of over the food right now. Let me miss that food. Let me take a break from it. I'd rather just be empty, because that is going to be a feeling that was new to me, which I actually have come to enjoy, just the feeling of being empty because of the amount of energy. Just the energy is really quite surprising that you get from not eating food so much, because of all the energy that goes into digesting. It gets dispersed into other areas, and then that becomes fully available to you. In my particular journey, I have to point out that there were some folks that put some great material out that helped me to really wrap my head around what I needed to do and how I needed to approach things. And I definitely have to say a big thanks to a channel on YouTube called A Healthy Alternative. There's a gentleman, I'm not exactly sure where he is, but he talked a lot about what went into fasting for him. And I'm not going to say that we did it identically, because I can't say down to every single detail that the way I did it and the way that he did it or his guest did it was the same. But I think that the concept of being comforted enough or reassured enough to know that the worst is not going to happen if you stop eating, that is a huge fear, was addressed through his videos. And then I also say some thanks to a couple of other channels that shared a lot of great information. I'll say Nikki Gomez, girl, excellent work. You're touching and saving so many people. I'm one of them. Thanks so much for sharing at least your experience about fasting. Some lectures from a doctor called Dr. Sabi was so important. He talks a lot about alkalizing the body and using electric food, which is a whole, encyclopedia worth of knowledge right there, but he was very instrumental in me wrapping my head around that. Thomas DeLauer and Dr. Jason Fung. This guy is unapologetic. I love that he's unapologetic about informing people that, as he always says, your body's just not that stupid. I really love when he says that. He says, your body's not that stupid. If you stop eating food, you are not going to die. Your body's just not that stupid. Please keep saying that. That is giving me so much joy every time you say that. So congratulations for being unapologetic. I'm here with you. And I also have to give a thanks to another person on this YouTube platform called Dr. Kim Berry. I've started to pay attention to his videos a little bit more, and this is a recent thing, but just on the topic of helping people to persevere past relationships with doctors that aren't serving you. He's been a great champion or advocate of that topic of knowing when you're dealing with a doctor who's got limits, learning how not to be angry with them for not telling you about their limits, and then also learning to rely on yourself, that you're capable of holding more information to help yourself than you really know. So shout out to Dr. Kim Berry for being instrumental in talking to people and getting confidence in learning some of these concepts and pushing for more for themselves. Alright, so just had to get those things out of the way. You may have heard a little bit about this in other channels, but your body is actually made of several different distinct layers of systems. And when you're fasting, some of the benefits of fasting is that your body has spent so much energy breaking down food. Let me explain it to you this way. For the average female, I've come to learn that it can take a single meal, one meal can take about 3 days to fully go from front door to back door. 3 days. So can you imagine how much work is going into breaking down food for a person who has eaten 3 meals every single day? And not to mention some of those people who are eating 3 to 6 meals every single day. Their body is constantly working and doing the job of managing, either breaking down food, directing where some of the byproducts of that food should go, managing the energy, the glucose, and the carbohydrate balance. I mean, it can probably get very intense. And just like we, take sleep for granted, we are also taking rest for our body for granted. So if we take that concept of sleeping and just knowing when you should actually get sleepy, if you ever get to a point where you're feeling lethargic, you're lacking mental clarity, that actually could be a sign that your body could use a break. Just give it a break. Just let it clear some things out, and that'll help it to kind of reset and to free up some energy that'll go right back to you that you can use in other ways. Another benefit of fasting includes the concept of, and I said I wasn't going to mess this word up. I'm not going to do it. Autophagy. Autophagy. A-U-T-O-P-H-A-G-Y. Autophagy. And that's something that describes a process that kicks in on a cellular level. And of course, I'm paraphrasing loads and loads and loads of documents on this topic, but autophagy is basically a condition where your body's able to kind of look at what is in your body that isn't serving a healthy purpose, and it will take it apart and you reuse the parts that are great, but then it will get rid of the parts that are not. So that means those cells with damaged bits or cells that are too damaged to be recovered will actually become released from service basically and excreted. And this is part of what happens during fasting. Once you get past that initial phase when you're burning glucose, which lasts about 3 days. So those first 3 days, 3 to 4 days, depending on your particular body, your body can only store so much glucose. Once it's done with that glucose, then it's going to have a period where it's going to start looking for stuff that it can burn for fuel. Only a small part of it is actually protein. Protein is so expensive for your body to make that that's actually its very last resort. So I know that there's a lot of literature, a lot of fears out there, I should say, that suggest warning signs that you're just going to be burning up all your protein. You're just going to be burning up all your protein if you fast, you can't fast. That's not true. Actually, there's only a small bit of protein that is involved after this glucose period before it actually goes to fat. Why? Because fat is the more attractive fuel source. I mean, just from an energy standpoint, it's able to generate far more return on investment than just about any of your other major fuel sources. So if we kind of think of your fuel sources as carbohydrates, fats, and protein, carbohydrates / glucose is the cheapest fuel. That is the cheapest fuel, and it can only store about 3 to 4 days worth of it, either somewhere in your body, on your liver, things of that nature. It shouldn't be there in abundance, but once it starts to get kind of overflowing, it might start packing things away on top of your liver, which is a condition I think that they start to refer to as a fatty liver or something of that nature. But once you get past that phase of burning glucose, then it will, minorly tiptoe into the protein pool before it jumps headlong into the fat pool. Now, a lot of people have complained about that stage of the first 3 days. Like, they've complained of headaches, dizziness, and let me just explain to you. Fasting relies on your mineral stores to be in check. And if you have never paid attention to your mineral composition, fasting is a process that will bring all of that dead front center for you. So